Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. What day is today? Is it Wednesday? I thought it was Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, yes.
Don't do that, man. I just gave you credit yesterday.
I have had a long day, Sparky, all right, man?
You have, yes. Charlie's been going since like 5 a.m. working. So, yes, you have had a long day. I looked at it, I was like, oh, crap. I thought today was Wednesday because it says Tuesday.
Did everything else on the rundown, but
I got all confused for a second. I was like, I better make sure I say this right. So, happy Wednesday to you. We're midway through the week, even though you couldn't tell by what I had to say there. So, it's Wednesday coming up on today's show. Only one guest. John McNamara, Badger 24/7, BadgerBlitz.com. He'll be joining us coming up at 3:20 today because what was a Badger football recruiting class is disintegrating in front of our eyes currently as they lost another one. Today they lost one, an offensive lineman that got flipped from Wisconsin to Indiana. Now, kid is from Indiana, and Indiana is significantly better than Wisconsin, so who can really blame the kid to want to go to Indiana at this point based on everything we've seen? But still, there are several kids now that have flipped or decommitted and have reopened up their recruiting. So while they're losing all these kids, is there anything on the horizon to make us feel happy about? We'll talk to John McNamara about that coming up at 3:20. So we're going to talk some Packers. There was a great piece by Tom Silverstein in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Green Bay Press-Gazette today, talking about options for this team coming up in the offseason. And the headline of the article was talking about Malik Willis and the money that they are probably going to have to pay Malik Willis if they want to keep Malik Willis. And funny enough, we were a day ahead of that because Charlie and I talked about that yesterday as far as, paying that dude maybe $5 million or something like that. And his point on all of it was, yeah, you're probably going to have to pay somewhere between 5 and 8 million. And in that piece, he talks to league executives and so forth. And they pretty much all agree that nobody's going to give him a starting job and nobody's going to let him be the bridge quarterback to a quarterback that they draft that year. So more than likely, he's going to have to be a backup wherever he goes. Then it's just a matter of how much the Packers are willing to pay him to be a backup, which then led into the conversation about several other guys whose deals are coming up here in the near future and how much they're going to go for and if the Packers can possibly afford them. So we'll get into a couple of those guys on today's show as well. But before we do that, I want to lead with the Brewers because yesterday when we led the show, there was no idea about what was going on with Brandon Woodruff, if he was coming back or not. And then during the show, we get word that at $22.5 million for 1 year, Brandon Woodruff is back with the Brewers. Then towards the end of the show, and I can play it for you here again, towards the end of the show, Robert Murray, who is a MLB insider and has been around for, I don't know, last 10 years or so, somewhere in that. Yeah. He's younger. So
he's a younger guy.
I want to say in the last 10 years or so, he's been kind of like an MLB insider for different publications and so forth. But when he talked yesterday, it was kind of not great news from his perspective. And I really kind of poo-pooed the whole thing by what he had to say. This is Robert Murray on MLB Network yesterday talking about the Brandon Woodruff deal. Okay. So this was an opinion. I want to clarify this was an opinion. Then comes news later from, I believe it was The Athletic, that Matt Arnold and Mark Attanasio pretty much both saying, hey, man, these are two separate deals, right? The Peralta deal and the Woodruff deal are two separate deals. Like, let's not tie one into the other. If we make a deal here, that means this guy's got to go or whatever. These are two separate situations. They have said, public facing at least, that they wanted to keep Brandon Woodruff and they were hoping this would be the start of keeping Brandon Woodruff. That worked. They have said, again, they being Matt Arnold, more so than maybe Mark, that they would like to keep Freddie Peralta through this season. But when you are in this type of market, a smaller market, that you have to consider listening to all options. Now, if somebody knocks their socks off with an overpay, then maybe they seriously have to consider taking the overpay if that happens. I said yesterday there is absolutely no chance I'm going to be happy with a Freddie Peralta trade. I don't care if it's an overpay or not. I'm going to be livid. Because when you push in to take Woodruff at 22.5, you have Peralta at 8, that's 30 for two starting pitchers. I get it. We couldn't find anywhere in Brewers history where they've had two starting pitchers combined for $30 million. Now, to that same degree, Brewers payroll was not like it is recently either, in the last 10 or 15 years. Because their payroll last year was around $125 million or something like that. So this gives you the best opportunity to run it back. And Todd Rosiak had a great piece as well in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel talking about this Brewers rotation and how it looks if they keep Peralta. And, your front guy obviously is going to be Brandon Woodruff. That's who should be on opening day. I understand Freddie Peralta had a great year, but for me, it's Brandon Woodruff. But I'm not going to get mad if it's Peralta. But Woodruff, Peralta, that's 1-2. Then your 3 is probably, based on talent, Mizorowski, then Priester at 4, and then Todd Rosiak labeled it to be Chad Patrick as the 5th starter in that rotation, with the idea that you have Robert Gasser and Logan Henderson battling for that 5th spot potentially, and then the other guys who are on the outside looking in but have starting experience, DL Hall, Aaron Ashby, Carlos Rodriguez. There's that other group of guys still coming. I mean, you literally have a second rotation of guys behind the first rotation of guys that can potentially go in there and start. So from a starting pitching standpoint, you're pretty good. And if Ashby and Hall are going back to the pen, that means your pen is largely intact again going into next year. You're pretty good there too. I've stated I'm open to Devin Williams coming back on a 1-year deal. I don't know if it's possible, but I'd be open to it. I'm not giving him the closer role. That's going to be McGill, but I'm open to him coming back. The question is this. What do you think the Brewers' next move should be this offseason? What is it? Is it trading for somebody? Is it signing somebody? Even if it's not a name necessarily, a type of player that you want, what should the Brewers' next move be this offseason? Nicolay Law, talk to text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. On the socials, WI Sports Radio. Watch us on X and on YouTube as we live stream that bad boy. Live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Usen, I ask you, what should the Brewers' next move be?
Unrealistically, I say go out and get Bo Bichette. He's a guy who didn't accept his qualifying offer. He's going to go out there and get a lot of offers from a lot of teams, but I think the Brewers are a really good fit for him. I think he immediately slides into the middle of the infield wherever you need him to. He has power in that bat. There's a lot of opportunities for him to take that next step as a star in Milwaukee if he chose to come here. Now you have to pay him a lot of money, and a lot of other teams are going to offer him a lot of money. More realistically, there's 2 guys that were DFA'd today that I'd be really interested in if I'm the Milwaukee Brewers. That's Christopher Morel of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a guy who has a ton of power as well.
Cub.
He doesn't hit for contact that well at all.
He does not.
But he can hit bombs.
And he has no position defensively.
And the other guy is J.J. Boldet from Oakland or Las Vegas now, who is also another really interesting player who has started off his career well, was a little bit of a surprise he got DFA'd today.
I'm not a Morel guy. Just going to be honest with you, I'm not. When Morel got going in Chicago with the Cubs, you saw that immediate flash. I want to say he was a rookie or something along those lines. I felt like, okay, maybe this kid's got something. But the more he played along in his career, the more I realized that defensively, he doesn't have a position. You've got a DH in Christian Yelich already. So from my perspective, I'm not really interested in Christopher Morel. No. I understand he's got some pop and so forth, but I'm not really interested in going down that rabbit hole with him going forward here at this point. Now, having said that, Bo Bichette, another name that Charlie threw out there. Yeah, that is unrealistic. Yes, that's a pipe dream. But from the Brewers' perspective, I don't think they go down that rabbit hole only because you have Made, you have Pena coming, you have Terang that can play shortstop already. You've got guys that can play the middle of the infield. So to me, that doesn't make a whole bunch of sense of why you would make that decision knowing where your strengths are in this farm system for the Milwaukee Brewers right now. That's why it doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't that make some of those prospects a little more expendable for other trades in the future then? If you can go out and get a player that's already established at that position.
But if I'm the Brewers now, and that's what we're doing, right? We're ragging for the Brewers. If I'm the Brewers, I can pay these guys a hell of a lot less money. I may be able to get Made on the same deal I got Churiel for, and he may be better than Bo Bichette before this thing is said and done. Now, again, I know I'm playing in the world of maybes, which nobody likes to play in, but that's kind of the world you have to live in as a Brewer executive.
I think at the same time, though, you have to think in about 2 to 3 years, there's a big possibility that everybody's just going to get being paid about the same amount of money. That you don't really have to worry about whether or not you can pay Jesus Made that much less than a Bo Bichette or something like that. I think this is a situation where this is a year where you don't know what's happening beyond this season. So go out there and try to win. Go out there and make a play to win.
All right, let's go to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Here we go, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Let's go to Seth in Green Bay, listening on 99.7 FM WNFL. What's going on, Seth?
Hey there, Sparky. So you guys kind of stole what I wanted to talk about there, and it's the whole Jesus Made situation. I think you need to fast track him, safely but efficiently through the rest of the, this AA, AAA system, and get him up to the bigs and into the majors as soon as possible. But still protecting him, still doing the Churiel situation. Sign him to an extension. He does have the potential to be better or as good as Churiel going forward, and that Joey Ortiz is not the solution at short. He's a phenomenal defender, but he doesn't have the bat. Made is starting to prove already at low A levels that he has the bat to compete as long as it keeps trending in the right direction. And then you just go out and you find some little extra pitching, some middle relief. And lastly, figure out what you're doing with Garrett Mitchell. I mean, is he ever going to be healthy enough to play?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or do you just kind of throw him out there and hope that somebody snatches him up and gives you at least a little compensation?
He's got no value right now. I don't think you can even consider trading Garrett Mitchell right now with no value. You need Garrett Mitchell to go out and have a spring, stay a little bit healthy. Then maybe in April or going into April, then maybe you can do something at that point. So thanks for the call. I don't listen. Garrett Mitchell healthy would be really good. Like Garrett Mitchell healthy is what? 25 stolen bases, 20 to 25 home runs, 275, 280. Like he can play. He's got all the skills. Defensively, he ain't no slouch either. He's a good defender. So you can play him. He's really good. And if you say, okay, I'm done. I'm done with my patience. I'm done. I'm trading him. Okay. So now you trade him. He's got no value, which means now he's filler in a package, right? So now the center of the deal is, say, Pena or Logan Henderson or somebody like that. That's the center. And then the opposing team goes, hey, you know what? I want you to throw in Garrett Mitchell. He ain't going to play for you anyhow. You've got Yelich, you've got Churiel, you've got Freeland.
Can always find another Isaac Collins somewhere.
You got Isaac Collins still, whatever. You got guys. You don't need this dude. I'll take a fly on Garrett Mitchell too. If you give me Garrett Mitchell, okay, we'll do it. But you're also losing a couple of top prospects. My concern is this dude gets healthy somewhere else and then goes on to be an all-star type player. And I know another maybe if come would be possibility here. But dude, it's talented, man.
Tell him to come back like Lorenzo Cain eventually, man. That's kind of where I'm at with Garrett Mitchell at this point. It's really no different than Marshawn Lloyd for the Packers right now. He has much.
We don't bring up his name
so
on this
much
show.
Potential.
No bringing up that dude's name on this show until he plays a full game. We don't talk about said player.
That's kind of how I feel about Garrett Mitchell, though.
Okay,
at this
fine.
point, I'm not sold on him until I can see him play a true stretch of games where he looks like the player that everybody promises he can be. Till then, there's no reason to even talk about him at this point. Yeah, we can be worried that he's going to go ball out somewhere else, but let him go do that because he hasn't done that in Milwaukee yet. It's a little frustrating that he hasn't done that in Milwaukee yet.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Matt in Madison. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Sparky. I mentioned this before a couple of times, actually, when you brought up this sort of topic, but I really think the Brewers should get Zach Neto. I don't know what it takes, but he's cheap. He's 2 years, and if you need to put Mate in like third base, it's doable. I really think it should happen, and that's all I have to say.
I'm all about Nato. You don't got to sell me. Charlie, you're in on Nato too, right?
Oh, yeah. He'd be awesome.
Yeah, go get him from the Angels. I'm for it. Now, again, what that prospect packages and so forth, I don't know. But you have to make, in my mind, and you tell me where you're at, Matt, you have to, at some point, say to yourself, if you're Matt Arnold, I'm okay parting with prospects to try and push this team over the top. You have to be committed to not crying if you put together a trade package of 3 or 4 prospects like you normally would if you're in a small market, Matt.
But think about how many infield prospects we had. Our first round pick this year was an infielder.
Yep.
Peña's an infielder.
Yep.
Mate is an infielder. Cooper Pratt, I think, is also an infielder. They're all infielders. Like we could part with at least one, maybe 2 of them. I wouldn't want to give away Mate, but the other 3, like they're all infielders. Especially if Vaughn's locked up for the next 4 years, and Turang, I hope, never leaves. Like we really don't need so many infielders.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Fisher is that first baseman, third baseman type, and I think they want him to play third base because of his power potential. But you're right, an infielder. Thanks for the call. I think the other part about it is, if we get any more specific, it's up the middle infield, right? Guys that can play short and second is really kind of where you're heavy at. And, peeling away a couple of those guys, and we just talked about, you have a whole nother starting 5 behind your starting 5 right now. To peel away an infielder with, if I take Cooper Pratt and I package him with Robert Gasser, what kind of player can I get coming back the other way? I don't know, but you have to be willing to move a couple of those guys in order to get help now.
So looking at like prospective Zach Neto trades that are online right now, Cleveland Guardians outlet put something out there for SB Nation. They were saying that the package they would offer is Chase Stillwater, their number 2 prospect outfielder, their number 8 prospect Braylon Doherty, right-handed pitcher, their number 9 prospect Ralphie Velasquez, and their number 28 prospect Joey Cantillo. So it'd take 4 top 30 prospects relatively to go out and get a player like this, including your number 2.
I can't believe you have to give up that much to get an
He's 25 years old. He's right in that age range. He had his best season of his career, was a top at least 10 shortstop this past season in the MLB. I mean, I believe that's how much it'll take. And the Brewers have that. The Brewers have plenty of that. Why not?
Oh, they do have plenty of that. It's just a matter of how much do you want to pay necessarily. And that goes back to what I was saying before, which is how many prospects are you willing to part with? Are you willing to part with a package of good players in order to get this thing done? I bring up Zach Nato's contract because I'm intrigued by Zach Nato. Zach Nato goes into his first arbitration year in 26. So you have him for 4 more years of team control here if you move them. So that's why you end up having to throw up so many prospects at this.
Well, and if you wanted to compare to like what the Brewers would give in that same situation, it'd be Luis Peña, your number 2 prospect. It would probably be Bishop Letson or Logan Henderson, one of the 2 of them in that package as well.
I'd pick Letson.
Braylon Payne, and then moving down a little bit, like their number 28, which is Josh Noth. So would you be willing to do that?
I don't know, man.
Because Braylon Payne looks really good too. He
You
looked
know,
really good in his first season last year.
I tell him all this, oh, you got to move prospects. And then you throw names on it. I start cringing like, oh, gosh, I don't know if I want to do that or
But
not.
also, again, look at the guys that are left there. You still have Jesus Mate as the number one guy. Cooper Pratt sitting there at number 3. Jefferson Cuero. Andrew Fisher is a guy that could be really awesome at that corner infield position for you. Luke Adams is still there. You have other options. You can move down a little bit. I mean, Craig Yoho is number 16, a guy that we like. Brock Wilken, Robert Gasser, like we talked about. You have other players there, man. Yeah, you're losing good names, but there's plenty of names that I'm really excited about underneath them still, too.
What should the Brewers' next move be this offseason? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Ron and Rome, you are next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Ron?
Yeah, I'm not as up on all these prospects and free agents, but I'll tell you 2 players that I don't want to lose and one that I wish would retire.
Okay.
And, if they didn't want to spend $30 million on 2 pitchers, then they shouldn't have made the offer to Woodruff, because Peralta has been our most reliable workhorse, and you have to have him. We can't have, like, the beginning of this year, we're like, oh, we got too many pitchers, and then all of a sudden we're doing bullpen games. And and he's $8 million. He's a bargain.
Exactly.
Why would you throw him out because you paid another guy maybe too much if he's not healthy? Woodruff is a great pitcher, but there's still questions about his health. So I'd like to keep both of them. I definitely don't want to trade Peralta.
1,000% with you. I don't want to trade Freddie Peralta either. But knowing you have Peralta and Woodruff, what's the next move? What do they need to go find?
Well, that's what I said. I don't know much about these free agents and everything, but Logan Henderson, I heard something mentioned. He's untouchable to me. He looks fantastic. I'm not trading him away. I don't want to trade away the next, great pitcher.
Yeah.
But the guy I would like to retire, I love Christian Yelich. He's a great guy. He's a great locker room presence and everything. But I've had back surgery. I'm 69 years old now. I had back surgery when I was 38. I haven't heard much talk about it, but from the way he acts, I'm pretty sure his back was feeling good. He was playing a VIP level this summer. Then it went down. I think it's because I remember he hurt his back a little bit, and they didn't make a big deal out of it. And he was never the same after that. Yep. And just for his own sake, it's not worth risking a lifetime of back pain just to have a good season, because back pain is something that you can be untreatable and be miserable the rest of your life. He should retire, and if he was playing the outfield, it'd be different. He's their DH.
He has to be their DH because he can't
hit RBI.
Yeah, well, he can't stay healthy in the outfield. That's why he's got to be the DH, regardless of what they say, Rob.
Well, and even when he's healthy, he's not that good of a defender in general anyways.
Not as good as what they have.
Yeah, you don't want to put him out there over a Blake Perkins or Sal Frelick or Jackson Chourio. Those guys all give you way plus defense.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. The other thing I want to bring up here, too, and you could say, Christian Yelich was playing outstanding, during the season, and maybe his back got to him at the end of the year. If you get rid of Christian Yelich, last year he hit 264, 29 home runs, 103 RBIs. That was his best year since 2019. 343 on base, 452 slugging. Like, I think you look at this and you just can't look at it and go, oh yeah, they'll be fine if he retires. I get doing it from his perspective of, hey man, if he retires, it's best for him, maybe, but it will screw the Brewers if they lose that production in the middle of their lineup.
I don't know if it 100% will screw the Brewers.
Yes,
I think it opens up opportunities for them a lot more. You don't have to keep him at the DH spot now. You can rotate guys through the DH spot. You could find other players that can fill in there. We just talked about how great their farm system is and all the trades that they could potentially make. You can find other people to slide in there. Yeah, it would suck losing Christian Yelich because he's been a staple of this team. He's a Milwaukee Brewers legend now at this point in his career. He deserves all that love and respect and to stay in that lineup as long as he possibly wants to be in that. But at the same time, if he doesn't feel ready to go and he feels like it's ready to hang up the cleats, then the Brewers, I think, will be able to figure it out.
Nicolay Law talking text line. Before we get to the dugout chat on YouTube, again, WI Sports Radio streaming live on X and YouTube. 715 says, Devin Williams, we don't need or want him back. Fine. 262 says, just knowing how the Brewers always operate, I personally don't think they keep Peralta. If they do, great, but I just think there is no chance. I'm telling you, if they don't keep Peralta, I don't care what they're getting back. I am just going to be mad. Then I'm going to be sad. Then I'm going to be depressed. in that order, and you'll get mad right off the bat on the radio. And then after a couple months, I'm just going to be depressed about it. Another one from the 262 says Pete Alonso would be my big get of the offseason. Position of need, hits for power, and we have a short porch and right. Can't hurt your club if he's on the club. That's from Ziggy.
I'd be happy with that. I just think he's going to be the second highest paid player in the offseason.
He'd have to have part ownership of the team.
Right. There's no way you're bringing him in.
He'd have to have part ownership of the team. All right. What do you got on YouTube?
Over on YouTube, our guy Anton says, honestly, move on from Ortiz. Move Durbin to second and Bryce to shortstop. Need a third baseman and possibly maybe move Yelich if there are any takers. We needed another offensive piece to the puzzle.
This is the thing. Listen, I'm the king of wanting Yelich the hell off of this team. I'm the king of trying to trade Yelich with a top prospect to offload his contract. But realistically, you don't have a bat to replace him. So if you trade Yelich, now you got to replace the numbers I just said and add another bat for the additional numbers that you already have. So I'd much prefer that you just gamble that Yelich can come back and stay healthy playing DH all next year and can be the power guy that he was this year. Who knows? Maybe he gets a little bit more power next year after a full year removed from that surgery. What else you got?
Rainbow Trout says trade for a banger third baseman, move Durbin to second and Terang to shortstop. So he echoes what we heard before from Anton.
1,000,000% with you on that. That's what I wanted them to do last year, and they never did it. So yeah, Durbin at second, Terang at short, and find a third baseman. I'm fine with that as well. So Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We change gears, and we're going to talk about the Tom Silverstein piece in today's Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Green Bay Press Gazette. And he talked to a couple of people about Quay Walker and the amount of money that he's probably going to command on the open market coming up and whether or not he's worth the money they're talking about paying him. That's coming up straight ahead. And don't forget, as well, in the world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. Wendy's new chicken tenders come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot. Or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies, gotta be Wendy's. And he takes. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here. Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. Hope y'all are doing well. Here on a Wednesday. Still to come, John McNamara, Badger24, BadgerBlitz.com. We'll talk about the imploding Badger recruiting class that continuously is losing people. Lost another one today. Looks like they lost another one last night as well. So we will get to that coming up too.
Also got a big commitment at wide receiver, though, so there's some good things happening, too.
Yeah, with all due respect to that, I really want to talk to John McNamara and really see what type of future we're talking about here with this next recruiting class coming in. Nebraska, I don't know if you saw this, Dylan Raiola, who's the starting quarterback for Nebraska, is out for the year with an injury. His younger brother decommitted from Nebraska.
Ooh, interesting.
That's not good.
No, but I think Dylan's bought in, right? His
and
uncle's running the strength program.
Yeah, I think they've got one of the smallest recruiting classes in the country right now. They're running out of time. So I don't, that's not good. I mean, the first thing, I'll tell you,
their head coach a lot of money too. Yeah.
Right. The first thing I thought of was, hey, Badgers, you got to go spend some money. You got to go get the other Raiola and have him play his brother at Nebraska.
That'd be kind of fun.
He's a 3-star. I mean, he's like the number 75th ranked pocket quarterback in the country. So it's definitely in the Badgers realm of somebody they could go get if they wanted to, I'm assuming.
You like Matt Rule more than Luke Fickell?
They're the same. I mean, Rule doesn't suck as bad as Fickell does this year, but I don't know if you'd say Rule has necessarily lived up to expectations either.
No, not
He got
really.
Raiola, but they both came in the same year, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Rule went first in Nebraska. The Badgers got Fickell, and our guy Greg Smith, who we have on all the time from Rivals, he covers Nebraska. He lives in Lincoln. And I texted him. I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, Nebraska fans are mad. They didn't think there was any chance they could get Fickell. You know, they're happy with Rule, but they rather would have had Fickell. And now you look at it and you're like, it probably didn't matter.
Not at all. Actually, it's probably Matt Rule came from the NFL, so that had probably a little more hype to it.
From Carolina. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay, I'll talk some National Football League Green Bay Packers stuff here. Piece in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel today by Tom Silverstein talked about Malik Willis. That's the headline. But then he gets into some of the other linebackers, talking to executives and so forth. Quay Walker is one of the guys that they got into talking about. And Quay Walker is a guy that when you start talking about how much money he potentially could pull in, they're saying he's going to be somewhere possibly in top 10, top 5, top 10, top 5 MLB linebacker money. Middle linebacker money at that, as far as what Quay Walker is probably going to fetch. Now, for perspective, Nick Bolton of the Chiefs and Sherwood for the Jets are both making $15 million this year. Okay. Now, if we move down, Patrick Queen, he's pretty good, $13.6 million for the Steelers. Then Koromoa for the Browns, $12.5 million. Al Shahir, that dirty linebacker for the Texans, that dude, $11.3 million. And then Robert Spillane for the Patriots, $11 million at number 10. Now, above those guys, Brown Deer native Zach Bond, $17 million is fourth, to give you an idea. So the question I have is, would you be willing to pay Quay Walker top 5, top 10 money? Top 5 would be like $15 million a year. Top 10 would be like 11. So somewhere in that area of $11 to $15 million a year. Are you sold that much to pay Quay Walker that type of money? Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or watching us live on X and YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Charlie, what say you?
No, I don't think so. I really like Quay Walker. I think he's a player who has proved himself the past 2 seasons that he can be an important part of this defense. The way he's worked with Jeff Hafley so far has proven that he's willing to take that type of criticism and build upon that and be a really good player. But you have Jaron Cooper. You have a couple other linebackers like Isaiah McDuffie, who, yes, isn't as young as a Quay Walker, isn't as good as a Quay Walker, but can get the job done as a middle linebacker too. To pay a guy who's going to be that middle linebacker to that much money is a little questionable, especially considering you're paying your top edge rusher that much money. You're paying your number 2 edge rusher a lot of money. You're paying your quarterback a lot of money. Your right tackle, everybody on this team is making a whole lot of money. And to go out there and say, you know what, Quay Walker, you're worth at least $12 million, really handicaps yourself for the rest of the offseason. You got a lot of other decisions that you're going to need to make, especially if you don't go and win a Super Bowl this year.
This is the thing. You are spending a boatload of money on Quay Walker. You're spending a good amount of money on Rashawn Gary. Now, you cleared up the Kenny Clark money, but you've got money in Micah, Rashawn. You're paying Xavier McKinney a good load of money. He's one of the top paid safeties in football, right? So those are 3 high-priced guys. On the offensive side of the football, you are paying Jordan Love, top dollar. Josh Jacobs is making a good amount of money as well. And now you just paid Zach Tom. So there are 3 dudes there. So you've got 3 guys on each side of the ball that are making a good amount of money. When you start talking about salary caps and where your money is going, I've always said that it's quarterback, it's left tackle, it's pass rusher, it's cornerback, and top wide receiver. That's where I'm spending my money. Well, you have no money to spend at wide receiver, even though there is a piece in Tom Silverstein's thing talking about how much Romeo Doubs is going to command. We'll get to that at 3 o'clock. But right now, you have no big money put in at wide receiver. You have no money at tight end. The Tucker Kraft thing was looming, but now with him out, that devalues how much he could possibly ask for going forward. So he's going to need a bounce back type year next year and be healthy to get the money that he probably is looking for. You have to have a middle linebacker. Okay? I'm not against paying one. But if you're saying I can pay 1 but not 2, I'm going to wait on Cooper. I think I'm going to wait on Edgerrin Cooper before I pay Quay. Now, if you say Sparky, if you're Brian Gutekunst, you're like, Sparky, I can pay them both. Okay. But if you can pay them both, that means you don't have money to spend at corner. And by the way, you're wasting money on Hobbs, but I'm pretty sure you can get all that free and clear pretty quickly. So I'm not worried about the Hobbs contract. But so you're not really spending money at corner outside of Hobbs. On the defensive line, you've got 2 pass rushers. You have no big guys in the middle. Devontae White is another guy that's going to be talked about here, but I don't think Devontae White's going to command a huge salary. So that, I think, to me, is the biggest thing. I don't want to sign Quay if that screws me from being able to sign Edger and Cooper at some point. If it's one or the other, I'm going Edger and Cooper. Even though he's not as sound as Quay Walker and he still makes his mistakes, I get that. But athletically, I think he's just more of a freak than Quay Walker is.
Well, and it's not even just Edger and Cooper. You got to pay Evan Williams eventually if you like him a lot. If you want to keep him around and you want him to be a player.
Don't care.
You have to pay Matthew Golden eventually. You have to pay Tucker Kraft eventually. Those are two guys.
Tucker Kraft now is hurt. So that devalued him immediately. So with all due respect, you laugh, you're like, I'm being serious. If I'm Goody, hey man, you're coming off major injury. Now next year, if he doesn't have that year, but you know he's capable of having that year, you still don't have to offer as big of a deal necessarily.
That's still a lot of other smaller contracts. There's other guys that maybe they might want to keep around too. Lucas Van Ness is going to come up and he started off the season pretty good.
Hell no.
He's good for the depth of the line.
He can be good in Cleveland. No.
Jordan Morgan's contract's going to come up at some point. You may want to bring him back.
Well, again, we'll see him at outside or left tackle next year. But
these guys are going to have opportunities to also earn money too. And I think just to pay Quay Walker right away now is ill-advised. There's only
So let's go back to Tucker Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you say Quay Walker's at say $13 million a year. Tucker Kraft, if you talk about extensions or whatever you're going to do, Tucker Kraft, top 5. Let's go top 10. Jonnu Smith's at $12 million. Freiermuth is at $12 million. They're both on the Steelers, by the way. That's $24 million for two tight ends that are okay. Then Jake Ferguson's at $12.5 million with Cole Kmet at $12.5. They just drafted a tight end to put with Cole Kmet in Chicago. Njoku's in Cleveland at $13.6. He's okay. Mark Andrews is on the other side of his career. He's at $14 million at 5. Hawkinson has not been that dude this year at $16.5. Kelsey is third at 17. Trey McBride's at 19. Kittle's at 19. Where does Tucker Kraft fit into that? Is it the same money as Quay Walker?
Probably about.
Okay, well, if you're coming to me and going, Quay or Tucker Kraft, see it,
Tucker
Quay.
Kraft. Yeah, easy.
Bye.
There's just a lot of other players. And I look at the other teams in the league. There's only 2 teams paying 2 middle linebackers in the top 20. That's the Philadelphia Eagles with Zach Bond. They're paying him all the way up there. And then the Chicago Bears are paying Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, both of them. And that has been the top part of their defense. So it's worked out. So I can see the value in doing that, but no other team in the league is doing that.
You're already paying 2 pass rushers.
For the next 5 years, you're going to be bottom 10 in the league in cap space every single year. You have to start making smarter decisions now. And if that's a position that you don't feel like is the most valuable, you got to make that decision.
Trell, north side of Milwaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Trell?
How you doing? How you doing, Sparky? I can't believe that you, out of all people, Sparky, are talking about maybe getting rid of a middle linebacker. Of all the years that we've been Packer fans, watching how we've never been able to have a middle linebacker, now we got 2 of them. Heck no, I'm not letting Quay Walker go. And that's the Packers' fault. They should have signed him in the offseason. That's their fault. So now he's going to be overpriced now.
Trell, who would you, if Goody says you get one or the other, don't you rather have Cooper?
I'm not going for that. What's going to happen is they're going to trade Rashawn Gary. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, fine.
They're going to trade Rashawn Gary his salary.
Sure.
They're going to get some assets from that. They're going to sign all their young players that y'all talking about, the Quay Walker, the Tucker Kraft. If they even have to sign him, he may wait an extra year. I don't know how it's going. They're going to sign all their young important players, and then they're going to get some assets from the 49ers, which they're going to be able to probably draft a young pass rusher and draft a young cornerback.
Rashawn Gary right now, looking at his numbers, as we currently said, has a DAP cap number of 34.9. Obviously, he's here for the rest of the year. Next year, age 29, he has a $28 million cap hit with only a dead cap of 17, so you can save $11 million. When they really can get out is age 30 season, which we all know Goody loves people that are 30 and over. I'm joking. In 2027, $31 million cap hit with a dead cap number of $8 million. That's where they really get out of that deal when they want to. Trail, thanks for the call. Got to take a quick time out. Come back. Botch moment of the day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
It's time for the botched moment of the day. Bad call, dropped pass, horrible coaching. Did someone say the wrong thing? Let's get to it on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time for the botch moment of the day here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. A trade last night in MLB. Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles, starting pitcher, to the Angels for outfielder Taylor Ward. Eric Kratz, former Brewers catcher, on foul territory, talking about it. All right, so there's Eric Kratz. I told Charlie in the break, come on, man. This dude can't stay healthy. You must be joking about this whole Grayson Rodriguez. Oh, my God, I can't believe they traded him. Taylor Ward last year, power. Again, he can play third base, Brewers fans. 36 homers, 133 RBIs last year, 25 homers, 75 RBIs the year before that, 663 plate appearances each of the last 2 years, 157 games, 156 games, win above replacement of 2.7, 2.3. I'm sorry. For trading Taylor Ward, and you're trading away a guy that can't stay healthy, if I'm Baltimore, I do that every day of the week. You tell me, Charlie.
I get it, but Baltimore also has a really bad history of not keeping guys healthy either. And that's part of the reason Grayson Rodriguez, I think, hasn't done well. But Corbin Burns didn't stay healthy there. You haven't been able to keep Adley Rushman healthy for
you looked up Grayson Rodriguez. When was the last time that dude has been healthy? Last 4 or 5 years?
2024. He played in spring training this year until he got hurt with an elbow injury.
And he was hurt in 23.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And 2022.
Yes. So, again, we can call it botch moment of the day if you're Eric Kratz, but I'm not there, man. I am not there with that one. Coming up next, we're going to dive into Romeo Doubs and the number that he may be looking to get this offseason, according to Tom Silverstein and people from around the NFL. That's next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in, 3 o'clock hour. How y'all doing? Make sure, tell your friends, tell your family members. Check out Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you're traveling around the state, check us out on WNFL in Green Bay, 99.7 FM. Or how about in Wausau, 93.9 The Game. In Duluth, Superior area, 710 The Game. And in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM. The Fan. Always stream us at WISportsradio.com as well. John McNamara, BadgerBlitz.com, part of Badger 24/7, will join us coming up in about 20 minutes. Talking about the Badgers recruiting class imploding currently as they continue to lose people and getting flipped to go other places, or just simply saying, no, I'm going to open up recruiting and maybe go play somewhere else. So we'll talk about that coming up at 3:20. Charlie Sounds of the day at 3:40. Last hour, we got in talking about how much you're willing to pay Quay Walker. Do you really want to pay Quay Walker top 5, top 10 middle linebacker money? This all coming off a great piece by Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer today. So it was talking about Malik Willis, but as you go into the story, he goes into other pending contract situations for the Green Bay Packers. Another one that he gets into is Romeo Doubs, okay? Romeo Doubs, his 12.72 yards per catch ranks 32nd in the league among receivers, backs, and tight ends right now. The director said of what Doubs will earn in free agency, probably $11 to $14 million, according to one personnel director that Tom Silverstein spoke with. $11 to $14 million. Now, again, this is another one of those deals where you go online. This is what I always do. And you type in, top wide receiver salaries in the NFL, and it's not as high as you would think. When I looked earlier, I was surprised. I'm like, okay, well, what is this? Like top 10, top 15, somewhere in that area. But you really got to scroll down. I mean, the top one is Jamar Chase, the spitter. $40.2 million is Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson, 35. In order to get down to 11 to, $14 million, $11 million right now, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers, Christian Watson right now down at 33. Then Travis Hunter, again, these are rookie deals. Travis Hunter, 11.662. Darius Slayton, $12 million. Rashad Bateman, 12.2. Darnell Mooney, $13 million. Shakir for the Bills, 13.2. Cooper Kupp, $15 million for the Seahawks. Jerry Jeudy, 17.5. So are you willing to pay Romeo Doubs $11 to $14 million on a long-term contract to keep Romeo Doubs with the Green Bay Packers? Is he worth it to you? Nicolay Law, talk to text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Now, if I came to you and said, okay, Sparky, we got $11 to $14 million. We can give it to Quay or we can give it to Romeo Doubs. Who you want to pay? I'll pay Quay. For a couple of different reasons. Number one, he still has some drop issues. Number two, his concussion background scares me some. Give him a long-term deal and all of a sudden he gets forced into retirement or something. Like I don't want to be in that position either. Part of me kind of thinks he shouldn't be playing anyhow, but it ain't my life. So there's that you have to consider. And the other part of this for me is not saying all of these guys fit, but Bateman home run threat, Slayton home run threat, Hunter home run threat, Christian Watson home run threat, Shakir home run threat. He's not that guy. He's just not that guy. And if you go, okay, well, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, okay. Cooper Kupp, fine, fair comparison. But Cooper Kupp's at the other side, right? This dude is supposed to be ascending and coming up. So I hesitate to pay this dude $11 to $15 million. Like, if you continue to go down that list and we start to get to be around, I don't know, $6 million or somewhere in that area. Again, you can just see how young this league is because it's still a bunch of young guys. But like Brandon Cook, 6.5 million. Jawan Jennings, 5.9. Odunze's on his first contract. London's on his first contract. Rashid Shaheed, 5.2. He's got to be a free agent after this year. Same with Olave. So if you're down in the $6 to $8 million range, Curtis Samuel's at $8 million. Hollywood Brown's at $7 million. Adam Thielen's 8.5. I'm probably somewhere closer to the $7 to $9 million range, maybe for Romeo Doubs, than I am the $11 to $14 million range for Romeo Doubs. What say you, Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials at WI Sports Radio. Charlie Usen, your turn.
I feel like that number is just high in general. I don't think there's a lot of teams that, I don't know, in my opinion, unless they're bad organizations, that are going to be willing to pay $11 to $14 million for a Romeo Doubs at this point. I think the well-run teams know what he can do and kind of what his ceiling is as a playmaker, and that he's, for the most part, going to be sure-handed, besides last week, what we saw, all those miscues. But again, that was maybe something to do with him being shaken up in that game. The weather, even though Matt LaFleur doesn't want to talk about that. There's little things that I guess could have impacted that game. But before that, he is a guy that will be able to catch that ball, will be able to run those crisp routes between the 10 to 20-yard markers and be able to do his job. That's something that's really important to good teams. But to bad teams, the ones that are going to pay him, those are the teams that aren't going to use him correctly. And then people are going to start talking about Romeo Doubs and how he's not performing to his contract. And then he's just going to get cut. And it's just going to be like all these other guys that are in that same kind of archetype. But Calvin Ridley's kind of in that same way too, that if he's not on the right team, he's not going to be as valuable. I think teams notice that. Teams know that when they're paying guys, and he may get lowballed a little bit. So I don't think that's a number that, in my mind, is all that realistic. And if the Packers feel like he's $11 to $14 million, no shot you bring him back.
No shot. I'm not paying him that much either.
You got 18 wide receivers in your room that you also believe almost the same amount in as Romeo Doubs.
Right. So, I mean, if you start going and lining him up, would I rather have Doubs or Watson? I know Watson's hurt all the time, but I'd take Christian Watson. Would you rather have Doubs or Golden? We have small to no sample size, but I think he's a more talented wide receiver, and he can be a home run threat. So I'm taking Matthew Golden in that perspective too. So those are at least two guys that I'm willing to pay more money to than Romeo Doubs. And if my baseline is Romeo Doubs at 11 to 14 million, is potentially a third wide receiver within the next, year to two? Once Golden gets going with Watson, can't have it, because then they're both looking at you going, hey man, he's our third wide receiver. You're paying that dude 11 to 14. I want more than that. I guarantee you Christian Watson's going to say it. So from that perspective, that's another reason why I just don't think, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you can afford to pay him that. And to what Charlie was saying about bad organizations having to pay to get somebody in there, that's exactly what's probably going to have to happen. Whether, again, you can go through your bad organizations like Cleveland and so forth and figure out who's going to spend that money to get him in. Somebody probably will pay him that money, though, Charlie, at the end of the day.
I think so. There's going to be teams that are going to be desperate to get their young quarterback somebody to throw the ball to, like a Romeo Doubs, who, again, is just going to be sure-handed. Talk about Cleveland. Houston's going to be a team that may be looking for a guy like Romeo Doubs just because a lot of their wide receivers haven't taken that next step so far. Tennessee's going to be a team. You talk about Carolina, maybe looking for a veteran wide receiver to go with their two young wide receivers that have been balling out.
Yeah.
These are all teams that in the past have kind of ruined guys. And this is something that I think Romeo Doubs, if he wants that type of contract, is going to have to risk.
Nicolay Talking text line is blowing up right now. 414-677-1250. 262 says 11 to 14 million for a wide receiver 3-4 and locker room and culture cancer. I don't know if I'd go that far. Nah, easily replaced by a rookie. I don't think I'd call him a clubhouse cancer. I agree that I don't like the whole not showing up because I want more throws or whatever the hell that was all about last year. I get down with that. But maybe I'm out of touch. We should ask John Kuhn. He's on the sidelines. You listen to 9 to Noon with John Kuhn, Robbie Mackloff, weekdays 9 to noon, about how he feels about Romeo Doubs and that locker room fit and that wide receiver room on that offense. But I haven't really heard any negativity towards Doubs. I feel like Watson and Doubs are good. I feel like Love and Doubs are beyond good at this point. And those are really the only ones you probably care about at this point if you're LaFleur. As long as he's good with the quarterback and good with his other cohort wide receiver and Christian Watson, I think you're good. So I don't think I'm not willing to go to that point with the locker room culture cancer. But again, John Kuhn could very well answer that on his show. The 414 says, I think you're spot on with around $7 million for Dobbs. He's barely proved himself with not being able to stay healthy. My question is, where do you rank him compared to Reed? Well, they both can't catch a ball. So let's start there. Reed's worse than he is, if we're being honest.
They have to put Reed in the backfield, run these gadget plays with him to get him the ball sometimes. That's how unreliable he is with catching the ball.
So Reed is coming back. Now, he wasn't clear to practice today, but Reed is going to be back here, I'm hoping, for Thanksgiving against the Lions. We'll see. But, again, he gives you what? The home run threat. The Dobbs doesn't. He's got that game-changing speed that he gets a slant 5 yards down the field. He can go. Dobbs gets that same ball. He probably gets you 10, 12, 15 yards maybe, and then down he goes. Watson can take it. Golden can take it. Savion Williams can take it. And to me, as we've talked about, that's my most important trade for a wide receiver. I get you have to have possession receivers, and every team should have one or two. But if my possession receiver can also go, then I'd rather have my possession receiver also go. So if you're asking me Reed or Dobbs, I don't think either one of them is more than a third or fourth receiver on this team going forward. So I guess I would lean, man, I don't know which one I would lean. Dobbs has better hands than Reed, but Reed's the home run threat. Reed doesn't have the concussion history. I don't know, man. I guess Reed, but it's kind of a coin flip of what do you prefer at this point.
I think I'm going with Reed mostly because he's a little bit younger. And like you said, he has a little bit more upside. I think we know what Romeo Doubs is now, and that's still a very good wide receiver who can help, again, the right team win ball games. At the same time, when I look at Jaden Reed, I also have to look across the league and look at guys like Quentin Johnston, who's taking a big step this year for Los Angeles. Once he figured out how to catch the ball, he's been able to be a dangerous player for that team. There's a lot of other wide receivers that I think you look around the league and you say that they have that same kind of impact in the squads right now. George Pickens is another great example of that in Dallas. He switches kind of that environment in Pittsburgh where it felt like they were just going to move on from you if you weren't figuring it out fast enough. And he was having his moments where he was frustrated with the attitude and that he wasn't catching balls consistently the same way. And now he's in Dallas and it feels like an opportunity for him to kind of explode. And he's taking advantage of that. I think Jaden Reed has that kind of upside for this team if he is willing to take advantage of this opportunity. Romeo Doubs, I think, is willing to, but his ceiling just isn't there.
262 on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. JP here. Doubs, Watson, Golden, Reed, and Savion, and we are good. Buy Doubs and Wicks from the 262. Dontavian Wicks is another guy that we haven't talked about, but Dontavian Wicks was a guy that at the end of last year, people were thinking, okay, well, his hands killed him, but he might have the potential to be something at some point down the line. Jaden Reed, his rookie year, some people thought maybe he's the guy on this team. I feel like they've all had flashes in this wide receiving core, but you've not found that consistency. Watson's giving you consistency from catching the ball, but not staying healthy.
No. And even catching the ball is sometimes not all that consistent from him either at points. He doesn't track the ball all that well compared to some other wide receivers that are downfield threats. These are things that I think when looking at a Dontavian Wicks and just kind of this wide receiver room in general, you have to start nitpicking the little things that these players can do and what things show out more. And I think right now from Dontavian Wicks, what I'm seeing from him is just too much inconsistency compared to even a Jaden Reed, who is pretty inconsistent. So I give him that up.
Let's go to the YouTube dugout chat and X chat. Don't forget, you can also, when you're live streaming on X, I feel like a lot of people don't do this. I don't know why you don't do it. You can comment on the live stream on X. I feel like most of ours all come from YouTube, even though, got hundreds of people watching on X. So you can also comment on X, and it goes right to the set for us on this side. We see it on our side just as like we would see the dugout YouTube chat. So you can comment on X. You can comment on YouTube again at WI Sports Radio. What do we got?
It's our friend Q over there in the dugout chat. He says we need a number one, a real number one. Not if you squint or hope number one. A true number one elevates everyone on the offense. Until we have one, we won't know who Love is as a quarterback.
And that is the other part of this. And I don't know when we start talking about where they're going to spend the money. Quay Walker, Romeo Doubs, whoever it is. Does he look at this Gutekunst and save that nest egg to eventually get himself a true one? Or does he build this thing out over the next 3 to 5 years with the idea that he's not going to have to pay a true number one?
Both, I think, a little bit. I think you look
at... You can't do both. You got to make up your mind.
You can definitely do both. I think you can go out there and test the market, see what's available. I think the problem is that right now there's not going to be a lot available. You got a couple of rookie wide receivers that are going to be coming in soon. The Ryan Williams out of Alabama, some of these other players that are going to be game changers once they get drafted. But the Packers are never going to have that high of a pick. But you still have to look. You still have to be aggressive and go out there and try to make moves for what Q's saying to help give Jordan Love what he needs to take that next step. But at the same time, I think this team does feel comfortable with the guys they have out there. They just hope they can take those next steps without having to go outside the organization.
Coming up next, John McNamara, BadgerBlitz.com, part of Badger 24/7 as well. We'll talk to him about this imploding recruiting class for the Wisconsin Badgers. His thoughts on the Badgers that get ready to face former head coach Brett Bielema and the Illini coming up. Hey, Bucs fans, want to hit up a Potawatomi Sportsbook before the Bucs home game at some point the rest of the year, but need a ride to the game? It's a slam dunk by hitching a ride on a Potawatomi game day shuttle. Just make a bet at Potawatomi Sportsbook and catch a shuttle to Fiserv Forum. After your purchase or bet, a wristband will be given to you at the bar or betting counter upon request. You'll need the wristband to board the Potawatomi shuttles. Shuttles begin departing 1 hour and 15 minutes before the game, with return shuttles starting at the beginning of the third quarter and will run nonstop until an hour after the game. Why drive downtown and pay for parking when you can ride the shuttle? Yes, that's it. Yes, pay nothing. You go, same day buy it, bet, or you get something delicious at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen. Well worth it. Well worth it. For more information, visit Potawatomi.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky with you. It's that time of year, the sing-songy, family gathering, baked goodsy season. And Wendy's went and made the frosty of your holiday dreams. That's a Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion, baby. Made with swirls of sweet, gooey Snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony Snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia. So preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion is here. Seriously delicious. The iconic Frosty mixed with sweet Snickerdoodle cookies. It's got to be Wendy's. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is John McNamara, BadgerBlitz.com, and of course, part of Badger 24/7. Follow him on Twitter at McNamara_247. That would be 247. John, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Sparky. I didn't really love, coming into Radiohead's Creep to introduce me here.
It's better than Beck's Loser.
No, I love Radiohead. I appreciate that, Sparky.
Because I also have Beck's Loser that rotates through here too. So you just
Sparky gets lucky with that one a lot, yeah.
You just got lucky that he didn't play Loser when you came on. It's literally, we don't know what's gonna play until it plays. It's a big rotator and it just rotates through songs. Sometimes it happens and it happens at the wrong time. But yeah, that's how it goes.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna take your word too for something. How screwed are the Badgers right now with this recruiting class? Because every day I feel like I wake up lately and I look on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, and I feel like they're losing another guy. Now this time they lose offensive lineman called Benjamin Novak, who's from Indiana, who flipped to Indiana from Wisconsin. I get it, but this isn't the first guy that's either decommitted or flipped at this point, John McNamara.
Yeah, they lost 2 linemen this week, the only 2 scholarship linemen that they had in this class. Maddox Cochran was on Monday.
That's the other one. Yeah.
So he likely is going to stay a little bit closer to home. Virginia Tech's the school to watch there. Virginia also in the mix. And then, like you mentioned, Sparky, Ben Novak was a longtime commit and who was a guy that, as you look at guys in this class of guys who could flip, who could leave, he was pretty low on that list. And he ended up taking trips to Indiana, Purdue recently, and then he flips to Indiana this morning. So right now, Wisconsin does not have an offensive line commit in the 26 class. That was a group that they probably wanted, 2 to 3. And then, you have signing day, which is a little bit earlier this year, December 3rd. So they're going to have a kid come up this weekend, but they got a lot of work to do and certainly not a position they wanted to be in this late in the recruiting cycle.
What does the rest of the recruiting class look like right now?
Well, this certainly won't be the last decommit that Wisconsin
That's good.
Will likely have
That's
in the next.
Great. Glad I had you on. Appreciate it. Got to go. What do you mean, man? How many more kids are they going to lose?
Well, I don't have a set number in my head. We had a good idea about Novak, yesterday or the day prior. So there's no next guy that I could really point to, but there's a lot of smoke with Jaden Petit, who's currently the highest rated commit that they have in this cycle. Big 4-star receiver from Florida. I think Oklahoma's the school to watch there. Schools have been all over Amari Latimer, their running back commit. He's another 4-star kid. Miami's there. Ohio State was, but not as much in the mix anymore. So I'd really look at Miami, Tennessee there. DJ Boz has been a guy that has popped up on other campuses throughout the fall. He's one of their better defensive line commits. Jack Jand has taken an official to Iowa. So again, I don't have that next person for sure in line, but by the people I talk to and just kind of gut feeling, likely won't be their last decommit, but they'll also add some pieces in the next couple of days here. But I don't think that makes Wisconsin fans any happier.
But are the pieces they're adding as good as the pieces that they're losing?
No, I'm not going to argue that they are. If you lose Petit, you can make an argument that Petit is one of the best receiver commits that they've got, since I've been doing this, 20 plus years.
Oh my God.
Latimer's probably as exciting of a running back commit as you got. Obviously, Wisconsin's recruited that position extremely well, but he's a 40, 50 plus offer guy atop Wisconsin's board. They beat out a ton of schools to get him. And if Ohio State, Tennessee, Miami are looking at you this late in the cycle, obviously your talent is really strong there. So, if you lose those guys, you're not going to get a kid this late to replace them. It's just not going to happen. They've got Quantavious Wiggins, so they've added a second running back in this class. They'd love to keep 2, but if you were to lose Latimer, and again, he could pop up at Wisconsin this weekend. There's some smoke around that. He hasn't made anything official, but when you take OVs to other schools, you got to trust what those kids are doing, and maybe as opposed to what they're telling you. So a lot that is going to happen in these next couple of weeks here. It's going to be really fun to track.
It doesn't sound fun to me whatsoever. So this is the other thing, John McNamara of BadgerBlitz.com, and of course now of 24/7. They keep talking about meaning the athletic director, Mr. McIntosh, keeps talking about the idea of, we're going to invest more money and we're going to help out Luke Fickell and da-da-da-da-da. Right now, I mean, they got to be in the bottom part of the Big Ten as far as money that they're spending at this point, probably with NIL and portal and everything else. You start talking about these guys that are possibly going to be leaving. Can they just write these guys a bigger check since they have all this money that are magically just appeared out of nowhere for next season to try and keep these guys?
Yeah, I think that's part of it is a way to hang on to these guys is to maybe re-examine the numbers there financially. And I don't have any of those where I could tell you exactly, what player X is getting and what player X has been offered. But, with this influx of money that Chris McIntosh has talked about, we don't know the exact figures, but I do know that that money is available to the guys in the 26 class. So I think that has been part of the recent pitch of, do we need to go back to, numbers? Do we need to relook at that? But again, sometimes money gets trumped by questions about the program's overall health, what the results on the field were.
Right.
And if you are a receiver, you've had some games where the punter has led Wisconsin in passing. And that's, if you're a 4-star receiver and you could go to Washington or Oklahoma, the two other schools that are heavily involved, I mean, that's a really, really hard pill to digest. And there's no answer to say, yeah, it's going to get better because of this. They like Carter Smith. He's going to start likely, if he stays healthy, the remaining 2 games, he'll have a big offseason in front of him. But, that's not an answer to a lot of those questions. It's scheme related. Is it the right coordinator? Is it the right head coach? Is this a program that I can commit to? And it's hard to blame any of those commits at this point. Wisconsin likely almost certainly won't make a bowl game unless they get incredibly lucky in a lot of different areas. They won't have those practices, for bowl prep. That hurts. Luke Fickell is back in 26, but there are a ton of questions surrounding the program. So it's wise of these kids to be looking at these options so late in the process.
I'm so depressed. So let's go back to the quarterback position. They've played portal roulette for the last couple of years. Now you're playing a guy that is a high school recruit in Carter Smith and seeing what he does. Are we all to assume that they're going to go spend a bunch of money to try and find another portal quarterback in the offseason?
Yeah, they absolutely have to. Just if nothing else because of depth. But the second piece of that is Carter Smith, again, they're high on him, a former 4-star kid, was committed to Michigan. There's a lot of stuff that you like about him. But Luke Fickell is coaching for his job next year. And if you do have these funds that are going to become available to you and you can compete at a tier or 2 higher, presumably because of the money, you absolutely have to go and
okay, one second. Hold on 1 second. So you're talking about, because I have all this extra money now, I can play at a different level. Cool. Now let's talk about what holes do they have to go spend money on in order for them to compete at a higher level in the Big Ten? And can you do it in one offseason? Because if I'm being honest, my answer is no, you can't do it in one offseason.
Well, I probably wouldn't argue with you there, but Spark, I mean, it has to start at the quarterback position. And then secondly, I think the next biggest need is offensive line. So like I said, even if you love Carter Smith, you have to go and try and get the best quarterback or potentially 2 in the transfer portal just because of the current depth that you have or the depth that you would likely project. They'll lose Billy Edwards Jr., whether he gets a medical and goes somewhere else, that kind of remains to be seen. Danny O'Neal, I don't know that he'll be healthy next year. You have to bring in portal guys. It's not the way they want to go, but the reality is they absolutely have to attack that way.
You've been doing this for over 20 years. Did you ever think you'd be on the radio talking with me, because we've been together the whole time? Did you ever think you'd be on the radio going, they need linemen at Wisconsin? Did you ever think we'd be having that conversation?
No, likely no. That's one of the things where, what is the overall health of the entire program? And on top of that, Sparky, like we just talked about, they don't have an offensive line commit in the 26 class, and signing days on December 3rd. I mean, you're in spots where you probably never envisioned being. And again, Wisconsin, if they wanted to today, they could fill up those spots. They could find guys, but the caliber of linemen that they've typically brought in, they're just not likely going to hit that in this cycle. The development piece hasn't been there. They've cycled through a lot of offensive line coaches. There's just a lot of pieces that go into that. But no, for the probably premier position, that along with running back that Wisconsin's had for 30 plus years, you never probably envisioned Wisconsin being where they are right now, currently at those two spots.
Wisconsin gets a big win against Washington. They hang for a half with Indiana. How much of a chance do you give them against Bielema?
I certainly wouldn't pick Wisconsin to win that game. I think of the two, Minnesota's more winnable, but again, Minnesota's a better football team right now. So, they won't be favored in these remaining two games. I do give credit to the coaches and the locker room for getting up for these games, right? I mean, that Washington win was a pretty significant one for them. They battled Indiana for a half and then kind of fell off in that second half. They played Oregon strong. So, there's things that you could kind of talk yourself into, but I don't expect Wisconsin to win these next two games. They could be competitive 4-quarter games, but I'm not picking Wisconsin to finish out the year here.
John McNamara 24/7. Follow him at McNamara _24/7 or at Badger 24/7. What can people find at badgerblitz.com?
Yeah. Maybe news that you don't love to read about, but we're covering everything that's going on. As soon as the Novak news hit, we had a bunch of ways that Wisconsin could go on the offensive line. We're going to cover this good or bad or in between all up until signing day on December 3rd. That'll always be a big deal for us. And then hoops coverage too, Spark. I mean, the hoops team is off to a really good start. 3-0. They got a big game against BYU on Friday. We should have some in-person coverage for that. So, no matter what, good, bad, in between, we're gonna cover it for you Wisconsin fans.
Love me some John McNamara. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Spark.
There he is, John McNamara on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Up next, Charlie, Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using other side of the glass. Got some news coming from the Milwaukee Brewers. Just some kids living the dream. We're officially playing in the 2026 Little League Classic. Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Sunday, August 23rd. Braves and the Brewers. Hat tip to Drew Wagner, who had that in like September, I think.
Forever ago. Yeah.
Forever ago. So nicely done by Drew Wagner, having that one in front of everybody else by months. So nicely done by Drew Wagner. On that one, you heard Drew Wagner talking about it on this show as well. So nicely done by him. Nicely done.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right. So, Charlie Usen, where are we going first?
First up, we're going to head over to territory, Run It Back TV on the FanDuel Sports Network as well, where Bobby Porter's Bucks backup power forward and center was on the show discussing Giannis's injury that happened this past week.
Just how we've been playing, man. We got to play better, obviously. We win one, lose one. Obviously, we're on a 2-game skid now, so got to get right, got to get better, keep trending in the right direction. But don't want to get fined or anything, though, but the refs are kind of hard on Giannis out there on the court, man. Going back, watching some Shaq tape, man, they kind of treat him like Shaq on the court for real, man. It's like for real, though, like teams can just beat him up, throw him on the ground, things like that. And the one play he did get hurt, he actually got fouled, and then the next possession on their end, Jared Allen got a ticky-tack call. So definitely we get refed a little bit different. But I think the next couple of weeks, man, we just lock in, and our chemistry and our camaraderie has to be next level, man. Got to just lock in as much as we can and pull together, man, pull for each other, especially when guys are down. You got to come together as much as you can.
Okay. So a couple of things here. I don't disagree with Giannis getting screwed by the referees here. I don't. The thing that is kind of irritating, and it was definitely irritating to Shaq for certain, because that dude got hit and scratched and kicked and everything else every time he touched the ball, and they didn't call half of it. And the reason they don't call it is why? Well, we blow the whistle every time he touched the ball. I'm not blowing the whistle every time he touches the ball. So because he's so physically imposing and dominant inside and going to the rim, they make the determination of this isn't going to be a foul fest, because if I don't blow it and if I blow a whistle on a foul every time somebody touches him, nobody's ever going to stop him, and he's going to have like 100 points. So the referee's taking it in their own hands to make sure that does not happen, because again, what are we doing? We're taking a human being and letting them play the game however they want the game to be played. Referees literally in the NBA can determine if a game is going to be high scoring or not before the game even starts. They could sit down and together and be like, all right, we're not allowing physical play tonight. We're controlling the game. We're not letting this get out of hand. And then another night, they'll be like, all right, let's just unplay tonight. Like, I'm not in the mood to be blowing whistles all night. I got a headache. Like, let's just get out of here. Okay. And then it goes a different way. Like, it literally can be that easy to them dictating the flow of a game, Charlie.
Well, and I think in Giannis's situation, I understand that, yes, you want to be a little less lenient with a player, or a little more lenient with a player like him, because he is just so aggressive and a lot of things can be one way or the other. At the same time, didn't you make the hack-a-Shaq rule because you were bothered with Shaq getting fouled so much, and it wasn't, or was getting called a lot, or wasn't getting called enough?
They made the hack-a-Shaq rule because they were sick of them
shooting the free throws all the time.
Right, because he couldn't make them.
So if you have the wherewithal, I guess, to want to make a change to the rules like that because he's getting fouled like that, I mean, there's no reason to all of a sudden turn around and go, okay, now these guys just can't get fouled at all. That's how we're going to stop them from getting free throws, is that they just don't get fouled anymore. That's way beyond adding the hack-a-Shaq rule. That's way beyond just calling the fouls for these guys. It doesn't make any sense.
That's correct. Absolutely. And there's nothing the Bucks or Giannis can do about it.
Mm-hmm. It's really
Going on.
frustrating.
Next one.
Next up, we're going to hear from Steve Kerr, Warriors head coach. He was discussing soft tissue injuries in the NBA, including Giannis's this past week.
They believe that the wear and tear, the speed, the pace, the mileage, it's all factoring into these injuries.
Steve, to that point and to the point you made several times, is there ever a moment when you're in these meetings with the league where everybody's there, where you're like, hey, the best thing to do would be to cut the season down a little bit like this? Does the topic of conversation even come up?
I bring it up. I bring it up a lot, and I just think it's if we're actually focused on the product, it'd be great. We literally have not had a single practice on this road trip, not one. Been gone a week and or longer, 8 days, not one practice, because it's just game. And so not only is there no recovery time, there's no practice time. And what was different, back in the day, you did have like 4 and 5 nights, which was not great. But then you'd have 4 days before your next game. And so you'd take a day off and you'd actually have a couple good practices and scrimmage. So there's no easy answer here. The league has done a great job of trying to protect players by not overloading the schedule with 4 and 5 nights. But now it's basically we're playing every other night. And the flip side of that is, we're not getting any practice time, and the wear and tear is there anyway because it's the accumulation of all that, all those games and the speed and the pace and mileage and everything else.
Okay, Steve Kerr. Couple things. Number one, the speed and the pace and the injuries. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if that's it or not. The idea of it's too long of a season and you're not getting days off. Eric Dane was on yesterday, Bucs beat writer for The Athletic, and he said the Bucs were happy because they got a practice day today, and how today is a huge day for the Bucs because they get to run a practice and figure out how they're going to run this without Giannis for the next couple of weeks. That a lot of times they don't get those off days. The crazy part is they eliminated a bunch of the back-to-backs, a lot of the 4 and 5 and that type of stuff. They got rid of a couple of years ago in the NBA, so there would be more time off. And they're still complaining that there's not enough time off during the course of the season. You heard Kerr. I'd rather have 4 out of 5 so I can have 4 days off after that to get a couple practices in. Here, I'll help. I do this for every sport, free of charge. I don't charge anybody anything. The baseball season in Major League Baseball should not start until May and should be done at the end of August. And the playoffs should start Labor Day weekend before the NFL kicks off their first game on that Thursday. They should already be into their postseason. And their World Series should be done by September. So no matter what market you're in, you're not seeing snowflakes while you're watching the damn games. That's one. 2, the NBA season is way too long. Their first games should be on Christmas, and they should be done with their season by March and into the playoffs come April. That's how that should look as well. And yes, I'm shaving off a bunch of basketball games. I understand. I get it. Will this ever occur in either sport? Absolutely not, because all these players' salaries would be impacted. The money being brought in by all of these owners would be impacted because the revenue stream money coming in from TV or streaming devices would be greatly impacted. All of those numbers would be greatly less. From a fan perspective and from a quality of play perspective, I think everything would be better if they were to shorten some of these seasons.
Probably.
Hockey too.
Like you said, it'll never get. It will only get longer.
Yes.
All these leagues will only add more.
They're
games.
trying to make the NFL 12 months a year if they can.
They're going to throw a mid-season tournament into the baseball and the NFL here pretty soon because the NBA, it's working a little bit for them. Like these are the types of things that you're going to start seeing, and especially with all these different companies buying into the television rights, they're only going to want to sell more games. The MLB just sold their television rights to NBC, ESPN, and Netflix.
Let's address that real quick that you just said. This makes sense. What if instead of that World Baseball Classic taking place in spring training, what if they took that World Baseball Classic and put it for the month of July?
I think
no All-Star game, World Baseball Classic every couple of years in the month of July. Everybody not playing in it is off, right? And then we come back and fire it back up in August for the stretch run for the last 2 months.
I think I'd be down for that. I think the other thing, though, with that, though, is that the MLB will have to be more involved with the actual World Baseball Classic because there's some players that are playing in that aren't MLB players.
That World Baseball Classic is going up against college basketball. It's going up towards the end of the season in the NBA. If you put that thing in July, it's the only show going. And then you really can see everybody going in the middle of the season. Again, from a fan perspective. From a Major League Baseball perspective, I don't want my superstar getting hurt in July when I got 2 months and I'm in first place. Like, that would be horrifying. But it would just be equally horrifying having it happen before the season starts in spring training.
Edwin Diaz for the Mets.
Right.
That's what happened with him, and
Exactly.
they lost their star closer for the season.
All right, last one.
Last up here, we're going to stick with baseball, where Trevor Plouffe of John Boy and former MLB player was discussing intentional walks and what he doesn't like about them.
We talked about this recently on the show. I'm out on going like this for an intentional walk. I want to bring back pitchers having to throw. And I know it's makes the games a little bit longer.
What are we doing?
But I think we need the shame back in the intentional walk.
Shame.
It's bad for the sport as it is, because we're taking away Shohei Ohtani hitting. The most fun thing you can do as a baseball fan is probably watch Shohei Ohtani hit. And we're taking that away. And all we're doing is this. I would like to limit the amount of intentional walks too. That's something I'd really be interested in. So I don't know what category that goes into, like add or take away. I guess that's a little bit of both. Intentional walks, bring back the throw, and limit the amount of times that you can do it.
I didn't think you'd be bothered that much by that one.
If these rosters were fair and they were remotely close in talent, I'd be all for what he's saying. Sure. Just get rid of it. Outlaw it. Can't do it. Forget it. Not happening. Fine. But when you don't have the talent as the other team, and you need to get around Barry Bonds, or you need to get around Shohei Ohtani, or get around Aaron Judge, you need to be able to have that ability to do it to take on the next Hall of Famer. It's not like you get around Ohtani and you get Charlie next. You get around Ohtani and you get Mookie Betts. You get Freddie Freeman. Dude, give me a break.
Teoscar Hernandez.
You're just right. You're just picking a guy to get around, trying to avoid, the guy that's probably the best we'll ever see to get to a Hall of Famer and another Hall of Famer. I don't, man. No, I get what he's saying, but not the way baseball's currently constructed. No chance. If there were 10 teams and it was more evenly matched, okay, I'd listen to that.
The other weird thing he says, you want to walk Shohei Ohtani? Yeah, Freddie Peralta would rather walk Shohei Ohtani than give up a home run to Shohei Ohtani.
But you know what, though? Charlie, I disagree on this.
Okay.
I don't think any pitcher ever wants to intentionally walk anybody. I don't care if it's Bonds, Ohtani, or anybody else. That pitcher's like, screw this. I can get this dude out. The manager is the one that tells the pitcher, and if anything, he calls it the shame. It's a shame on the pitcher who's being told, we don't trust you to face this cat, so we need you to walk him. That's where the shame is.
But at the same time, if Shohei Ohtani hits a home run off Freddie Peralta, he's not going to turn around and go, wow, that's Shohei Ohtani that just hit a home run off me. That's pretty cool. No, he's going to be more mad about that than just walking him.
I'm just telling you, from an ego perspective, I think it's deflating when you get told to intentionally walk somebody, regardless of who it is. It's a shot at your ego. Charlie Houston over there, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer over here. Coming up, other side, green and gold update. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur, who had a bunch to say earlier today. We'll get to that. Also coming up, Ryan Rollins. Just how good can Ryan Rollins be? And things that we missed on today's show, including talking with Charlie Larson of the Milwaukee Admirals in the last segment of the show. Back after this.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. 4 o'clock hour. Lots to get to coming up this hour. Talk a little bit more about Ryan Rollins. You heard Run It Back is the name of the show, the podcast there during Charlie's Sounds of the Day. They get into talking about Ryan Rollins as well. So we'll have that conversation coming up in the second segment of the show. Then, of course, Things Sparky Missed, brought to you by Milwaukee Admirals Hockey. We'll talk with Charlie Larson of the Milwaukee Admirals coming up at about 4:45 or so. But first, it's 4 o'clock, which means it's time to do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, time to hear the latest from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. I will be honest with you, I have not heard this. Our guy, Charlie Hughes, the other side of the glass, he always goes through Matt LaFleur, and then he picks out, some of the good stuff that he has and so forth that we can play back and go from there. Makes me up all these different cuts and so forth. Here's a good one that I'm interested in hearing. We talked about this, was it yesterday? Yesterday at 4 o'clock, about the front seven of the Packers, and the idea that they're just not doing what we thought they were going to do with Micah Parsons, namely Rashawn Gary, who's not getting nearly as many snaps as he should be, considering all the money that he's paying, and the fact that Rashawn Gary has disappeared as far as sacks and hits go in the last 3 weeks, and Matt LaFleur addressed the reduced number of snaps. But you paid him all that money. It's brilliant. That's not acceptable. This is just not. I'm not saying it's not the truth. I'm not saying what he's saying is in fact. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm telling you, as a Packers fan, that's not acceptable. Dude, you are paying Rashawn Gary a lot of damn money. He had 7.5 sacks weeks ago. And we're on the air going, well, it's working out. He's going to get double digits now with Micah Parsons like we all thought. Poof, nothing. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get 3 sacks this week, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, see, Rashawn Gary's fine. Well, yeah, but that's Rashawn Gary. He had 2-3 sacks in a game and then gone for 5 weeks. 2-3 sacks in a game, gone for 3 weeks. Gets 1 at the end, he's had 7 sacks for the year. And you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad of a year. Sure. We need the consistency to go along with it. It can't just be Micah Parsons necessarily doing it all by himself. That's what has to change. And then for him to say, well, he really hasn't been a high snap count guy. Well, damn. Then what did we pay him for? Because you didn't pay him for double-digit sacks. Man's never done it once in his career, Charlie.
No, it's kind of hilarious to hear the head coach talk about him like that. Say, like, oh, yeah, JJ's just been playing good. That's fun. Yeah, awesome, great. Yeah, you're paying Rashawn Gary, though, dude. And he started off the season good. It's there. He has that ability. Last season, he finished the season really good. It's about doing it for more than half a season now. And you, as the head coach, have to be the one to help motivate him to do that. You have to be the one that says, you know what, Rashawn, you can't be having less snaps than that. You have to be the second guy on this unit to help out this team. And if you're not going to do that, then there may have to be some tough conversations this offseason when trying to change around this team. Can't tell them that directly because that's just going to shut them off. But you need to be having those internal conversations with your coaching staff at least.
Crazy. Just again, I'm not asking the man to lie necessarily, but what he said from a fan perspective just makes you just want to just punch something as far as, oh no, he's never been a high snap count guy. Like I don't know what we're looking at. And really crediting Abare for doing his thing. Hot damn, man. You ain't paying that dude jack. I'm not saying he shouldn't play if he's better than Rashawn Gary, but that's an indictment on Rashawn Gary more than it's a slap on the butt for Ingabari at this point.
He was the only name that anybody was talking about the Packers moving on from. It doesn't really seem like he was a guy that was all
he was a guy that they were talking about at the trade deadline for
that was
weeks.
really going to be in that rotation all that much. And now all of a sudden he's one of your favorite players. Like, come on.
And maybe that's why they didn't trade him. Okay, here's more Matt LaFleur. This is good. Talking about whether or not these guys are going to be held accountable for all these drop balls in the wide receiving core. Woo! Getting sassy. This is the thing. McManus practices. He looks good in practice. Whiff misses a kick. McManus practices the next week. He looks good in practice. Whiff misses a kick. TV broadcast. Well, this is the healthiest he says he's felt. Following week, doubtful. What do you mean? Doubtful. So, not sure what happened there. Romeo Doubs drops the ball. Romeo Doubs drops another ball. Romeo Doubs continues to play. Was that being held accountable? Or is it Romeo Doubs catches the ball in practice, so we don't penalize him if he drops the ball in the game? Because that's ridiculous if that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about, well, he's a great practice player, so if he drops balls in the game, I'm not penalizing him for that because I know he's trying hard in practice all week. That doesn't make, to me, again, not an NFL player, to me, that don't make much sense.
Luke Musgrave has one bad play, but they immediately punish him and take him out of that game.
Yeah, but he came back this week and said, oh, they shouldn't have done that. They should have kept playing him.
But Rashawn Gary's production goes down a little bit, and he starts losing snaps. I just don't understand why there's some guys that are being held accountable, but there's other guys who aren't. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I know Romeo Doubs.
You do know the answer to that, because just like every other job in America, everybody's got their favorites, and everybody's got guys or girls that maybe run the wrong way one way or the other and are just looking for a reason to penalize them if they can find a reason. It's no different in sports.
I get it, but also there's other teams that go about this type of process a little bit more with a plan. I guess the Eagles are a team that, again, I go back to all the time, that hold their players accountable a lot. If you're not playing well, they will find a replacement for you. And they watch the film and they can see which guys, even if you're not getting the ball, are not playing hard and are going out there and flubbing it, and they can make those changes. The Chiefs do that really well too, especially at the running back position. They're always changing their running backs and their linebackers in order to fit the guys that fit that scheme. It just doesn't feel like the Packers are matching that same kind of front office fervor that these other teams have.
Front office fervor, said by Charlie. Dropping fervor into the conversation here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, who we broadcast live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Green and Gold update time, and we are continuing to hear from Matt LaFleur from earlier today, talking now about Emmanuel Wilson, who probably is going to be the guy at running back coming up against the Vikings on Sunday. I think Emmanuel Wilson is going to really take advantage of this opportunity coming up on Sunday. I might be wrong, but you've just seen so many flashes of Wilson in games for the last year, 2 years, where if they don't have Josh Jacobs or whatever, or even if they do have Jacobs and he's resting, where he pops a play here or he pops a play there, he shows you that explosion, Charlie, where you feel not frightened or worried that the running game is going to die because Josh Jacobs isn't at running back on Sunday.
I think it also concerns me a little bit, though, that when Josh Jacobs does come back, even though we see Emmanuel Wilson do these types of things, he just gets his carries kind of taken away immediately from him. So that says something to how the coaching staff feels about his ability to do that through multiple weeks, not just in these little spurts where he needs to be that guy. I think that says they're concerned that if he were to be that guy for a longer period of time, that there may have to be other decisions made at running back because they don't trust him as much as a Josh Jacobs long term.
If you saw last night, Jaden Reed on social media got a helmet on, a jersey on. Everybody's like, oh, Jaden Reed's going to play. Yeah, here's LaFleur on Jaden Reed. Nah.
Say he was a little bit nicer about the way he didn't. It sounded like he was going to say, I don't know, or I haven't asked yet, or something like that, like he normally does. But then he stopped himself and gave an actual semi answer. That was good, Matt LaFleur.
He could have just said, and he would never do this, but I don't know why he posted that picture. I saw it. Go ask him why he posted that picture. Medical hasn't even cleared him yet. So, no, he ain't playing on Sunday. No. Maybe on Thanksgiving if he gets cleared here in the next couple of days, but he's definitely not playing on Sunday, and I'm not even quite sure he's going to play on Thanksgiving. But again, I no idea why he posted that on social media.
Maybe he's just getting antsy. He was excited to get back on the field.
Yeah, got his fans.
Maybe that was his goal. Maybe he's starting to get fired up a little bit. He feels like he's starting to feel a little healthier. He didn't post any words with it. He didn't say, I'm coming back right now. Right,
but that's what everybody thought.
That's what everybody always thinks, man. Just stop overthinking social media posts for once, people.
I overthink life, Charlie.
I know you do.
Just in general. I'm Matt LaFleur talking about facing the Vikings defense. It'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out coming up on Sunday, and if this offense can finally find its way. This is not a team that is winning a lot of football games. This is a team with a young quarterback that is struggling in J.J. McCarthy, not with confidence. He's not struggling, but struggling as far as turning the ball over, not making the best of decisions as well. It feels like a game, again, provided they had not played down to previous competition this year. It feels like a game that they should take advantage of and get another win heading into this game on Thanksgiving, because I don't look at a lot of what they have right now and say, oh yeah, that's definitely a huge advantage for them. I think special teams, like they're the top special teams unit or whatever, I think. So you have that going, but like Justin Jefferson and Naylor and those guys, they all depend on the quarterback to get them the ball. So if the quarterback's not playing well, they become less of an issue at this point, Charlie.
Well, and honestly, the Vikings special teams lost the game for them last week
Yeah.
to the Chicago Bears. So are they really that good right now either?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that I think the Packers can really just catapult themselves with the confidence moving forward here. If they can go out here and just beat down on the Minnesota Vikings, they should feel pretty good about that. That's a good defense still, even without the talent that was there last season or prior seasons. It's an opportunity for you to kind of make yourself feel good without a Josh Jacobs, without a Tucker Kraft for the first time this season.
Alec Lewis, Vikings beat writer from The Athletic. He'll join us tomorrow at 4:20, and we'll talk more about this Minnesota Vikings team as the Packers get ready to take on the Vikings again. Coming up on Sunday, we'll have the Green Bay Football postgame show powered by Lakeland University with Tommy Wirtz and myself. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Packers victory. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a team that scores 27 or more again this Sunday, because then it's that short turnaround, and it's the early game on Thanksgiving. And yes, we will have a postgame show on Thanksgiving as well. But to me, this is a pretty big game, not only because it's a division game, but having a couple wins on your belt, building that confidence level back up to go up against a Detroit Lions team. I'm not going to say they're reeling, but they're definitely not feeling great about themselves right now.
Well, and I think this game against the Minnesota Vikings, yes, it's a game you can add confidence for yourself, but it's also a game that if you don't take it as seriously as you have some of these better teams, it can be a game that could really hurt your confidence if JJ McCarthy goes out there and has a good game. If the defense does stun you again, like we've seen good defenses do so far this season, that's something that this can really hurt confidence, and the Packers can't afford that.
Sports Talk on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, presented by Paramount Plus. Can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Back to the Bucs we go. Interesting conversation going on around Ryan Rollins based on the Giannis injury, based on how he's played without Giannis, and what was said about Ryan Rollins on the Running Back Show as well with Lou Williams. We'll talk about all of that coming up straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky with you. Charlie using the other side of the glass. Don't forget, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Okay, so Ryan Rollins has been a topic du jour for Milwaukee Bucks fans because of the Giannis injury. And the reason that is because Ryan Rollins has had games where he's played really well. And I'm not going to say, that he's been completely up and down, because that would be unfair to him. But he's definitely been more up than down when Giannis hasn't been on the floor at the end of the day. Then we have them talking about Ryan Rollins again on the Run It Back podcast. And to me, when you hear guys like Lou Williams talking about it, even though sometimes I don't agree with Lou Williams all the time, it gives it a little bit more credibility. Dude played in the NBA, obviously. Check this out. So this is the thing. Ryan Rollins, we said this yesterday on the air. Ryan Rollins, in the 3 games Giannis missed some or all of, 32 points, 8 assists against Golden State, 25, 6 assists, 5 boards against Charlotte, 24 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds against Cleveland. So Rollins now has the opportunity. Do you let him be the number 1 shot taker on this team without Giannis? Do you encourage Kuzma to be the number 1 shot taker on this team without Giannis? Is Miles Turner the guy we encourage? Do we encourage nobody and just see how it all shakes out and see who becomes the guy at the end of the day if you're Doc?
I think you kind of encourage nobody. I think it's that last option. I think you let them go out there and play basketball and try to figure it out. You have your overall game plan, but when it comes to which guy's going to go off each night, you kind of hope it's a different guy every night, if we're being honest, because that's what you want when Giannis comes back. You want, again, that supporting cast of 4 to 5 guys that can all take over a game at any given moment in order to help out that star. That's how the Pacers got to where they were last season. That's how the Oklahoma City Thunder got to where they were last season, is by having 4 to 5 guys that could all step up at any given moment. This is the perfect time to go out there and see what you have. Like Steve Kerr was saying, you don't get a lot of practice time. Go out there and make some of these games without Giannis a practice for you.
Absolutely right. So the question that we have right now is, what kind of ceiling do you think Ryan Rollins has right now? If you're saying, okay, in 2 years or in 3 years, who is that guy going to be like? Who is Ryan Rollins going to comp to? We've talked about this in the past, and somebody brought up Drew Holiday as far as maybe Rollins becomes Drew Holiday. Well, Rollins is not going to be the defender that Drew Holiday is. And to be honest with you, I think Ryan Rollins might be able to be a better scorer than Drew Holiday at the end of the day. What say you, Nicolay Law? Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. What say you, Charlie?
I'm going to bump it back one more point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks and say he probably profiles to me a little closer to an Eric Bledsoe type of player, where he can be a stout defender if wanting to put the energy out on the court, and in certain moments can give you those spurts of being a leading scorer for this team. I was a fan of Eric Bledsoe when they made that trade for him. I thought that was a good trade. It just kind of burnt out a little bit because his ceiling ended up not being as high as I think a lot of people thought it could be. And when he was made the third option, he lost interest on the court. I hope that Ryan Rollins has a little bit of a better mindset like that if he does get pushed down a little bit because other guys are starting to play well. But I think that type of play that you got out of an Eric Bledsoe, something you can get out of a Ryan Rollins, which is a starter level play. Eric Bledsoe at one point was an all-star level player. So maybe it could get to that point.
Eric Bledsoe is a me guy. I don't know Rollins to say if he's a me guy or not. I've seen enough of him interview-wise and otherwise to make me think he's not necessarily a me guy. So I don't know. I don't know if I like that comp necessarily one way or the other. The part of it for me is, as we've been talking about with this Bucks team, they got to find that number 2 guy. If Rollins can eventually become a number 2 guy to a star, whether that's Giannis if he's in Milwaukee, or if Rollins is on another team and he's a number 2, I think that's what you want, right? If you can get Rollins to average 20 points a night with like 7 assists a night, I think that's awesome. That's an amazing find, an amazing steal for the Bucks if he can average those type of numbers, Charlie, throughout an entire course of a season, because then you start talking about, I don't know if he's an all-star necessarily, but he's definitely considered one of the better point guards in the league if you can get to that number.
Some of the names he was compared to when coming out of the draft, just in case you're wondering: Anthony Simons, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So not a super high ceiling out of those guys, but all guys that can do multiple things when on the court. They can go out there and take over games if given the opportunity, but also can be stout defenders if they put the energy out on the court.
Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250 from the 262. Rollins reminds me more of a Monte Ellis play style. That's not bad. I don't mind the Monte Ellis comparison.
I think he's a little bit more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball than Monte Ellis was. Yeah, he wasn't giving you that. And I think Monte Ellis was probably more of a
offensive player.
He was the guy who's going to be more aggressive all the time.
Correct.
Not really just every once in a while when needed. I think Ryan Rollins, again, knows how to pick and choose
because
when he needs to be that aggressive.
When Monte Ellis came out, if you remember, he was a second-round draft pick, but that was because he kept getting hurt. So then Monte Ellis eventually finds himself in Milwaukee after, where was he? Golden State, I want to say.
Yeah.
So eventually he finds himself in Milwaukee, and when he gets here, it's like, okay, you got to go score. You got to go be that other guard. I think it was it with Brandon Jennings?
I think so, yeah.
So Monte had to be that guy. Rollins isn't necessarily in that camp right now where he has to be that scoring guard as we sit here today. But as we talked about yesterday, this is an opportunity for somebody on this roster to step up and show they can be a viable scoring option for this Bucks team going forward. Almost like the Packers situation with the number 1 wide receiver position, right? They've been waiting for somebody to show they deserve that label. Tucker Kraft showed he deserved that label and then promptly got hurt. So now you want Christian Watson to be that next guy, at least I do, to be that next guy to show, hey, man, I need 10 targets a game. Throw me the damn ball. I'll catch it, and we'll make something to do with it. Now the Bucks are in a similar situation to where who's going to step up and who's going to run the deal with this Bucks offense without Giannis. Speaking of those Bucks, you need to hit up the Potawatomi Sportsbook before Bucks home games this year. And again, why pay high parking prices downtown? You can just take a ride to the game from the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right? Just make a bet at the Potawatomi Sportsbook because a shuttle to Fiserv Forum. After your purchase or bet, a wristband will be given to you at the bar or betting counter upon request. You'll need the wristband to board the Potawatomi shuttles. The shuttles then begin departing 1 hour and 15 minutes before the game, with return shuttles starting at the beginning of the third quarter and will run nonstop until an hour after the game. Why drive downtown and pay for parking? You can ride the shuttles. For more, visit Potawatomi.com. Asking you, what kind of ceiling do you think Ryan Rollins has right now? Ram, north side of Milwaukee, you're up next on the Nikolai Law Talking text line. What's up, Ram?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky? For taking my call. You know what I was thinking you remind me of? Jay Humphries.
Woo! Jay Humphries. Now we're talking. Yeah. You know what? I think that's good. I like that, Ram. I like that comparison. Charlie has no idea who the hell he is, but that's a good comp. I like Jay Humphries.
Yeah, because Jay was a guy who he didn't hurt you. He was a pretty good defender, but he could run the team. And then when Nelson, I think it was Nelson, when he said like he let him run the team, he was he was that guy, and he had a nice solid run with the Bucks.
Yeah, he did. But remember, he had Elvin Robertson playing next to him, right? Yep. So you have that scoring guard, you have that great defender. So Humphries never was really asked to be a great defender because Robertson was going to defend whoever the other team's best player was at the guard position.
Yeah, he was a dog. Robertson was a dog. We didn't even talk about him enough. We didn't give him the credit he should get. But Humphries, and he was a guy who can get you 30 a night, and he didn't have to what was he around maybe 15?
Yeah,
he probably finished around 15, 12. And I like Rollins' game. I like Rollins' game, but he a little bit too handsy on the defensive side, maybe slide his feet a little bit. But other than that, he can get you a bucket in the clutch. So I hope the Bucks keep him.
Jay Humphries, let me look up his stats. Thanks for the call, Ram. I appreciate you. Jay Humphries been coaching for a minute now. He's been coaching since he got out of the league. He was 6'3", 185. Humphries, back in the day, if we look at his numbers now, he played from 84 through the 94-95 season. But when we're talking about playing 71, 80 games, those type of games, he's averaging 14, 15, 15.
Yeah, with the Bucks averaged 13.4,
Yeah.
507 on effective field goal percentage.
Yeah,
Pretty good shooter. Yeah.
Again, but for this Bucks team right now, Rollins has to be better than that. Rollins has to average more than 15. He just does with what they have currently. Did you see the article in The Ringer? Michael Pena?
I did not.
You know how I can't stand them, right?
One of your favorites, yeah.
Michael Pena writes this whole big piece on The Ringer. Somebody retweeted it. Oh, I don't remember who it was. Somebody retweeted it. So I was like, okay, I'm not retweeting this. Then I couldn't help myself, so I quote tweeted it and had to say something, and I know he saw it. I read this whole piece. Do you know what the whole piece was? The Bucks aren't good when Giannis isn't on the floor. The Bucks are so much better when Giannis is on the floor. And if Giannis isn't on the floor, what are they going to do? They're going to be in trouble if Giannis can't play.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
I quote tweeted it. I was like, you're right. That's the truth. They're done if Giannis can't play. Guess what? Lakers are done if Luka can't play. Oklahoma City ain't winning a championship without SGA playing, and Denver is done if the Joker can't play. So, yes, you're right. The Bucks are screwed if Giannis can't play. Wrote this big, long piece saying what I just told you in about 30 seconds.
Right. Again, thanks, Captain Obvious.
I don't think that dude's ever written a positive piece on the Bucks in his career.
Right. Like, isn't the more interesting thing to see what the Bucks try to do without Giannis on the floor in this moment like this? This is the first time they've had this version of this team.
From a national perspective?
Well, I mean, like, even from the national
they
perspective.
Want this dude gone. If they fall on their face and so forth, then the hope is from all these clowns of, he's going to be frustrated. They don't have enough around him. He's going to ask to get out. That's what all of this narrative
You could
is.
try to be different and try to not just follow everybody else is doing, get popular that way.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, sure. That's it. That's what they're going to try and do. Absolutely, Charlie. You figured it out. Try and be different. None of these guys
They got
are
to put a
different.
little effort into what they do to do that. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. If you're in Green Bay, WNFL, 99.7 FM, 93.9 The Game in Wausau, 710 The Game in Duluth Superior, and of course, Milwaukee on 1250 AM or 105.7 FM The Fan. Don't forget, Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up is coming up from 5 until 6 o'clock tonight with Tommy Wirtz. Charlie, speaking of Tommy Wirtz, so Tommy and I were talking in the company that we work for, because all these different radio stations are with different companies. The company that we work for, you can give points to people for doing stuff well. Like I just gave Charlie some points, and then these points you can use towards different prizes and stuff on the website and so
10
forth.
points away from a cool prize.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's kind of what it is. So everybody's trying to earn points to get points. Tommy discovered today when looking, because I had just given Tommy points, and he looked back and saw 22 days ago that you gave him points. And what did you say the reason was?
Nice polo, #creativity. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tommy has been rocking polos.
You gave him points for wearing a polo.
We misjudged him. We hyped it up yesterday, but he's been doing it.
He busted
He's
out
an OG. Yeah.
laughing when he saw that you gave him points for a polo 22 days ago. Because yesterday, Tommy Wirtz was in here walking around in his polo, and he was getting all the sales ladies talking to him. Everybody wanted to talk to Tommy Wirtz
And
yesterday.
what's also awesome about that is I never remember to give the points out. Like I have so many points in my account that I just never give out. So that was the one time I remembered to give it out. Of course, it was about his polo, so we could make fun of it.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Charlie using other side of the glass. Steve Sparky 5 with you coming up next. Things that Sparky missed brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Plus, we'll check in with Charlie Larson as well. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky, 5 for Charlie, using other side of the glass. Still to come, 5 o'clock, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz gives you the best segments of the day on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Again, Alec Lewis, Vikings beat writer of The Athletic, will join us tomorrow at 3:20 as we get ready for Packers and Vikings coming up on Sunday. If you missed John McNamara, BadgerBlitz.com, Badger 24/7, talking about the imploding Badgers recruiting class and what the future looks like for them. And they have no offensive linemen in the current recruiting class. None. They have one. Not one offensive lineman.
They did at one point.
At Wisconsin, they don't have. They had 2, and they both left this week.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely pathetic. You go back and listen to that as well. Again, WISportsradio.com, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Will also work. Also can find us, of course, on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is old like me, Charlie Larson of the Milwaukee Admirals. Charlie, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Sparky. How about you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing pretty good. It's a Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, which obviously is a good thing. The Milwaukee Admirals, you guys always have good things going on over there. And seemingly every year you guys play well, Charlie.
Yeah, you know what? Every year we go into the season, Sparky, and we're like, hey, I think we're going to be good, but you just never know because we're an AHL affiliate, and it depends what the Predators do. Nashville Predators are NHL affiliate, and this year, we're good again. I mean, I'll give a lot of kudos to our coach, Carl Taylor, who how he hasn't gotten a shot in the NHL is beyond me, but that's not my business. But like every year, he has us at the top of the league, and this year is no different.
So you give credit to Carl Taylor, but is it the Predators that determine the roster, or is it you guys that determine the roster? How does the roster construction go year to year? Because, like saying baseball, it's all about Matt Arnold, what he does with this Brewers roster from time to time. What is it like at that level?
Yeah, for sure. Barry Trotz, who was the Predators' first coach and was the coach for many, many years, ended up going on to win a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals. He's their GM now, so he takes care of all the NHL decisions. And then our general manager is a guy named Scott Nickel, and Scott is in charge of comprising our roster. So Carl doesn't have anything necessarily. I'm sure that Scott consults Carl on like, hey, here's who we're thinking, but ultimately it's Scott's decision. And then their goal is always to get a couple of what we would call like quadruple A guys, right? Guys that can that are great players at our level, but also can go up to the NHL and fill in when the need arises, because the need always arises. You don't get through a season in anything without injuries. So it's certainly a compliment to Scott Nickel as well to construct a roster. We got we're a really young team, a lot of first round draft picks, but it does help. But if it's different going from playing against kind of boys, now you're playing against men, 25 and 30-year-old men, big difference. So we've got good veterans. Kevin Gravel's our captain. He's from the UP. Great captain, really knows how to, not just handle these guys. That's not really the great way to say it, but like mentor these guys. Yeah. And guys like Jake Lucchini and Daniel Carr, guys who have had success at this level and know what it takes to get to the NHL, they can help these guys. Because it's not, yes, it's on the ice, but it's a lot of stuff that's off the ice too. It's like we got 3 guys that are 20 years old living by themselves in an apartment. Like,
wait a second. Hold on a second. You got 3 20-year-olds living together in an apartment, and now you're about to go to Vegas with said 20-year-olds.
Well, they might be. Exactly. So they need a lot of direction, as they would say in Canada.
Yeah, they will in Vegas at 20. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, good luck with that. I mean, how do you navigate Vegas? I mean, when you're rolling in there to play, I mean, they're building that athletic stadium right now. That's going to be done in whatever it's going to be done in a couple of years for Major League Baseball. And obviously, they've had the NHL team there. How does that work rolling into that city versus Kalamazoo, Michigan?
Yeah, it's different, obviously. And the coaches recognize that, right? Like, they know, like, just like as a parent, your kid is going to do stupid things. Our coaches know our players are going to have fun, and they can't, if they try and put too much restrictions on them, then the players are going to rebel and they're going to do it anyway. So the coaches know like, hey, players, have fun, but we're here for business. We're here to work. Hey, we play Saturday. After Saturday's game, go have a good time. Obviously, if you're 21 or older and you're drinking alcohol, but if you're not 21, then you can still have a good time amongst many other of Las Vegas's many entertainment options. But I will say this, it's the F1 weekend in Vegas, and that's putting a hamper on our guys are, American Hockey League players and get paid like they're in the American Hockey League, not like they're in the NHL. So going down on the strip on Saturday night is going to be pricey.
Thanksgiving next week, couple of home games next week for y'all, including Friendsgiving next Wednesday.
Yeah, Friendsgiving. I mean, you and I know what the origin of Friendsgiving and the show Friends and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stuff a turkey on the top of your head and you dance around. Obviously, everyone does that. But Friendsgiving is kind of a popular thing now. You get together with your friends because you love your families, but you don't always like them. You like your friends. Come down to the Admirals game. 6 tickets, $66. Bring your friends. You can't beat that deal. $11 a ticket. It's a no-brainer.
He is Charlie Larson of the Milwaukee Admirals. Charlie, I'll let you have a plug here on the way out.
Yeah, hey, come on out. Great team. Let's we got 2 games next weekend, Wednesday at 7:00, Saturday at 6. You're going to be sick of your family. Get out there, instead of yelling at them, yell at the Admirals' opponents. So come on down to Panther Arena. Great tickets, great prices, and let's have some fun.
It's awesome. Good stuff. There he is, Charlie Larson, joining us on YouTube and on X as well. Enjoy the rest of your week, Charlie.
Great. Thanks, Berkey. Have a good day.
There he is on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Trav and Brown Deer, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Trav?
How's it going, guys?
Going good, buddy. What's up?
What are you guys watching tonight?
What am I watching tonight?
Yeah.
Hopefully my eyelids at some point as soon as possible. That's what I'm hoping for. I've got a meeting to go to after I get off the air tonight. And I'm going to go home, have some dinner. And my routine is before I go to bed every night, I watch an episode of The Cosby Show. And then I head to bed. And then between then and there, whatever is on the DVR, we'll get to at some point.
Yeah. So my point is, the Packers, we always talk and stuff, but I'm going to watch the Badgers volleyball. I know we don't talk, but I had to look it up today. When did Kelvin Booth play for the Bucks, right?
Kelvin Booth?
Yeah.
I don't remember Kelvin Booth playing for the Bucks. Maybe he did. Yeah, you might be right. I don't remember it, but I'm sure he might have.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Did you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to watch because Wisconsin's got. I get back to my point, yeah, and like you said, the NIL, Wisconsin's always had good linemen, right? Right, where, even after Dane, right? They Monty Ball, everything, right? Yeah. Al Toon, can I ask you? And he was a great receiver. And there's a story behind this, right? But
Trav, I got to roll, man. I'm running out of time for the show, buddy. Thanks.
He just said he wanted to talk about Wisconsin volleyball.
Listen to me. I want you to listen closely. No more Wednesdays. That's it. Wednesdays are no-go. Trav, I love you. No more Wednesday call-ins. We're into now a pattern with you on Wednesdays.
He was right about Calvin Booth. Played half a season in Milwaukee, 17 games.
There
2004, 2005.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, before we get out of here, Major League Baseball has a new deal, rights deal with ESPN, NBC, and yes, Netflix. ESPN continues on. NBC returns to regularly airing games on its broadcast network for the first time in a quarter century, and Netflix engagement with MLB will expand from documentaries to live baseball event coverage for the first time. Sunday Night Baseball will go from ESPN to NBC Universal, which also secured the rights to Sunday Leadoff, whatever that is, and the Wild Card series in the postseason for NBC and Peacock. Oh, goody.
You excited?
No.
Have fun that you got to go back to the streaming services for all
I
these
love
games?
watching games on NBC. So you'll never hear me complain about
NBA's
that.
been awesome
I'll
so far
take
this season.
over the air any day of the week. So yes, I'm all in on that. Netflix will now air the T-Mobile Home Run Derby. That means I'm not watching. An opening night exclusive and special event game set to include the 2026 MLB at Field of Dreams game. Won't be watching that one. And the World Baseball Classic in Japan. That's where my issue lies. I absolutely adore the World Baseball Classic.
I mean,
That's where my internal fight's going to be, because that's the one thing I truly do not want to miss. I do not care if I don't watch Home Run Derby. I do not care if I don't watch Field of Dreams, but I care greatly if I miss World Baseball Classic.
There's other ways around it, Sparky. There's always other ways around it.
Yeah, that's what you say. And then you know what's going to happen? The same thing that happened the last time. I told the wrong person, the website got shut down. I mean, I just...
There's plenty more, baby.
Yeah, maybe right. Maybe right. Charlie using over there. Steve Sparky 5 for here. Again, thanks to John McNamara, BadgerBlitz.com for coming on. Tommy Wirtzy, he's coming up here at 5 o'clock with Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up and play the best segments of the day from across the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And then we're all back at it again tomorrow, 6 to 9 with Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht. 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Noon to 2. Mason Crosby, he is off on vacation. So he will be off tomorrow. But that show, Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nell, is presented by Verizon from noon to 2. And then 2 to 5, right back at it with the Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Enjoy the rest of your night. Stay tuned for Tommy Wirtz up next. It's been Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles!